whisper from the void. I'd give anything. It haunts me now. A warning I ignored. Twisted with it, my brother's pleas from years ago. Ghosts clawing through the city's roar. Why did you leave me? My name is Daniel, and I've always been the steady one in our marriage. The anchor holding Adeline through life's strongest storms. We met in college, two dreamers fleeing the grind, but by our mid-20s, we were trapped in a cramped apartment at the city's heart. Skyscrapers loomed like jagged fangs against the smog-choked sky. Rent devoured my marketing paycheck and her freelance scraps. The noise was a living beast. Horns snarling through paper-thin walls, neighbors' brawls erupting like thunder at midnight, subways rumbling like a heartbeat buried alive. It stripped us bare. One night, amid the chaos, Adeline screamed at me over some petty bill, her voice lost in the din. That's when the dream hit. My brother's face, pale and pleading from the foster home I'd fled at 18, his small hands reaching through the haze. You left me to rot. I woke sweating, guilt coiling like smoke in my chest, shoving it down as always, but it lingered, a spectral accusation in the dark corners of my mind. When Adeline discovered she was pregnant, joy curdled into dread. Her morning sickness twisted worse in the endless racket. I'd find her curled on the couch, hands clamped over her ears, tears carving tracks down her face. I can't think, Daniel. The world's screaming inside my skull. She whispered of her own buried regrets, abandoned art dreams, silenced by survival's grind, hallucinating the horns as mocking echoes of chants she'd let slip. I tried headphones, herbal teas, useless barriers. One night, as sirens wailed and hammers pounded like approaching doom, she thrashed in bed. In the streetlight's jaundiced glow, she gasped into the shadows. Just one moment of silence. I'd give anything. The air grew thick, humid, and foul, like breath from a grave. A serpentine chill coiled down my spine, raising goose flesh. I shook it off as exhaustion, but her words lingered, heavy as fog. Morning dawned in unnatural hush. Cars glided by without a sound. Pedestrians hurried in eerie silence. Adeline managed a faint smile. Nothing. Blessed nothing. We murmured baby names, her hand on her swelling belly. But her fingers shook, her eyes shadowed with something unspoken. We didn't dare question it. Fear sealed our lips. Lila arrived on an autumn evening, her wails piercing the delivery room's buzz. As she nestled in Adeline's arms, the hush returned, unnatural and absolute. We named her for Adeline's grandmother, a woman of quiet strength. those early years blurred in a haze of exhaustion and fleeting warmth. Lila's cries a rare, welcome rupture in the silence. Her laughter a balm against the quiet's growing weight. But anomalies slithered in. Amid her giggles, a stranger's sob would resound from empty air. I never said goodbye. In the park, she'd chase pigeons, then freeze, wide-eyed. Daddy, why do the sad voices follow me? Her question iced my veins. I heard them too, like my brother's pleas, now laced with others' buried shames. I saw my own guilt reflected in her innocent face, imagining her as another soul I'd fail. Adeline would grip her hand fiercely, then pull away, her protectiveness fracturing into withdrawal, as if touching Lila burned. As Lila grew, 5, then 10, the whispers turned malevolent, swirling around her like a fog that dredged regrets from anyone near. She wasn't just hearing them, she pulled them out, like a child plucking thorns. At school, she silenced a bully by murmuring his hidden shame. You hit her because you're weak. And he crumbled, weeping, his face twisting in terror. Teachers called it a breakdown. I knew better. At Adeline's sister's birthday in our stifling apartment, the air thickened to syrup. Voices erupted unbidden. A woman's sigh, I should have fled him, though her lips stayed sealed. A man's lament, I squandered it all, mirroring my own unspoken poisons. The promotion I'd skipped for family, dooming us to this poverty. The venomous arguments with Adeline that left scars, my brother's abandonment, now a howling specter in my ears. These weren't thoughts. They looped aloud, accusing, relentless. Adeline blanched, clutching Lila, who stood blank-eyed, but murmured, The voices hurt, but I can make them quiet for you, Mommy. Then screams tore from Lila, guttural and targeted, drilling into Adeline's ears alone. She flinched from our daughter, guilt cracking their bond like brittle glass. Adeline's whispered confession to me later. I never wanted this life, Daniel. And now, it's echoing back at me. One neighbor pounded on our door, eyes wild, before fleeing to his apartment. Hours later, a thud. We found him hanging. A note scrawled with regrets she'd unearthed. The whispers had hardened. Lila was feeding on them, her eyes gleaming with eerie calm. We turned to specialists in a frantic blur. Pediatricians prodded, their faces paling as whispers filled the room. I cheated on the exam, stole my career. One bolted, hands trembling. Neurologists scanned, but mid-test, a tech's regrets erupted. I ignored her cries. She clawed at her arms, drawing blood. Therapists dismissed it as our anxiety, until one session shattered with his own confession. I let her die alone. And he fled, sobbing, Adeline unraveled, barricading herself in the bedroom, raking her arms until blood welled to drown the noise. "Get out!" she'd shriek at shadows. I traced it back to that cursed night. Her desperate plea. On a rain-lashed evening, with Lila asleep and her door cracked open, I confronted Adeline. "What did you do when you begged for silence?" Tears streamed as she confessed. In her desperation, she'd offered our unborn child's potential to some unseen force. "I thought it was nothing," she choked. "Just words. But Lila, she's empty inside, a magnet pulling in everyone's regrets." The serpentine chill returned, colder now, as if confirming her words. I heard my own voice echo faintly. "You abandoned him. You'll abandon them too." By 13, the terrors solidified. Whispers hardened into forms, walls bulged, birthing phantoms, abandoned infants wailing from the plaster, betrayed lovers seeping like tears from cracks. One evening, a ghostly man clawed free, his face a mask of remorse, mimicking a noose around his neck. "You let it happen," it rasped, phasing through Adeline like frozen knives. She collapsed, screaming, her skin paling to ash. Lila hummed a dissonant tune, seemingly oblivious. Yet she confessed. "They hurt, Mommy, but I take them so you don't have to." At school, classmates wept hidden guilts aloud. Neighbors pounded on our door, then fled, their eyes haunted. I pored over forbidden tomes, uncovering what Lila had become, a vessel for humanity's sins, her stolen potential feeding an abyss. If unchecked, she'd unravel the world itself. Adeline, her eyes dulled from endless assaults, demanded action. "We summon it. Reverse this curse." Fear knotted my gut when we crept to the basement under a blood moon. We etched salt sigils, ignited candles in a jagged pentagram. Adeline chanted ancient words, her voice steady at first, then quavering. The temperature plummeted. Frost spiderwebbed the windows, cracking like brittle bones. Shadows coalesced into a gaunt figure in tattered finery, eyes glowing like dying embers, a grin of needle-sharp teeth. The stench hit, brimstone searing my nostrils, mingled with the coppery rot of unearthed graves. The metallic tang of regret, like blood rusting on chains. "You stole her potential," Adeline snarled. "Undo it." It tilted its head, mocking. Screams echoed from upstairs, Lila's or something mimicking her. "Fool, the pact feeds on echoes. Regrets I harvest. There's no reversal. She's mine." Rage surged. My brother's spectral hands clawed at my throat, forcing choked apologies. "I've left you. Forgive me." Visions assaulted, Adeline's body unraveling like thread, her art dreams spilling as bloody ink. Lila's face twisting into my brother's, accusing. "We'll break it." Lila's scream shattered the air. The building quaked. Walls bled visions, silenced wars raging eternally, lost loves tearing like flesh, dreams splintering into razor shards. The demon laughed, dissolving into mist. Chaos engulfed us, visions amplified, my brother as a clawing specter, my failures as a father. Adeline's face twisting in accusation. Her walls blended with mine, a dirge of despair. I awoke in a limbo of looping regrets. Adeline's voice drifting like a distant echo, searching for me. Lila had vanished into the void. But a whisper sliced through. The ritual's final words, my own binding chant. It wasn't Lila. It was me. The entity had claimed my soul that night, hijacking my regrets to amplify the bedlam, feasting on the remorse I'd buried. Awareness unfurled like poison vines, the screams fused into my own bellow, victorious, serene in surrender. No world remained. I'd rewritten it into silence. Cold emptiness pressed in, echoes fading to nothing. I am the observer, the maker of dirges, grinning as the mist parts for the next soul, ready to echo the cycle anew.